Shabbat Shalom. Last week, my wife Sarah and I went to the River Oaks movie theater. It was our first time at that theater. We're big film buffs and had to go to the oldest movie theater here in Houston. It opened back, I believe, in 1938 or 1939. And we saw Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which was amazing, my favorite film of the year by far. And when we arrived, just minutes before the film was starting, we wanted to get some popcorn, because of course we did. It's a movie, you have to have popcorn. And as it was our first time at the River Oaks Theater, we did not realize that you have to press a button at your seats, and then a waiter comes, and they give you, you take the order, and you get your food a few minutes later. So we found our seats, we pressed the button, we got our popcorn, and then about halfway through the movie, Sarah wanted some more, so she pressed the button again. A few minutes later, more popcorn arrived. What a difference from the old movie theater commercials that aired before the movie, telling everyone with that beautiful jingle, let's all go to the lobby and we'll get, some snacks, some popcorn, and some drinks and all of that. Today, we don't have to leave our seats. We don't have to miss a moment of the movie because the snacks, well, they just come to us. It's quite amazing. Well, this week, as the government shutdown continues, funding for SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which has existed since 1939, as old as the River Oaks Theater is set to lapse, leaving 42 million people in this country, that's 1 in 8 adults, 1 in 5 children, they could lose access to these benefits that keep food on their tables. Now, while I and anyone else who has the pleasure of going to the River Oaks Theater, we can simply press a button and any type of food item that we want can arrive in a few minutes, millions and millions of people in this country, they don't know where or when their next snack or meal will be. In Parashat Lech Lecha, this week's Torah portion, Avram, our ancestor, is told to leave his homeland, to head to the land of Canaan. After just a few verses of being in the promised land, the Torah tells us there was a famine in the land. And Avram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. One of Avram's first of many tests was one of hunger. How would he and his family survive this famine? The test of surviving famines is a main theme found in the book of Bereshit, where our ancestors were forced to problem solve to ensure that all those in their families and their communities were able to eat. Just a month ago, we read on Yom Kippur from the prophet Isaiah that our fasting on Yom Kippur is a reminder. It's a reminder to notice those who are not fasting by choice. Quote, "The fast that I desire," God says, "is to share the bread with the hungry." Today, we'll also read from the prophet Isaiah. And at the very end of our Haftarah, it's the verse technically after the Haftarah ends, we read, quote, "The poor and the needy that seek water, and there is none. Their tongue is parched with thirst. I, God, will respond to them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them." If God will not forsake the needy, then neither can we. Our sages in Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our ancestors, they teach us that a famine occurs when we, the Jewish people, just every human being, when we stop giving, when we stop caring about those less fortunate. And Philo of Alexandria, a first-century philosopher, he taught that famine is an evil worse than war. The Talmud teaches us that when there is a famine in your city, that you should get up and spread your feet. Take action, find a way to ensure that every single person has food on their tables. Now, how did our ancestors solve this problem of feeding the hungry and caring for the poor? Rav Yehuda, a sage in our Talmud, he taught that the charity collectors living in your town, they should provide food for those who are food insecure without question. If one says to the person giving out the food, "Sustain me with food," the charity collector does not examine them. They don't say, "Well, it doesn't look like you're hungry." Instead, they provide them with food. And Rav Papa, another sage, he goes a step further. He says that if one is hungry on Shabbat, Friday night through Saturday nights, we provide that individual, that family, with 3 meals. And Maimonides, the Rambam, nearly 1,000 years ago, he codified this in his Mishnah Torah, his halachic work, teaching that we shall appoint trustees who collect food each day in the tamchui, the community collection pots. We pass out the food to those experiencing food insecurity every evening, so no one goes without food for a day. This ensured that no one in their city ever went hungry. In Iturei Torah, a collection of rabbinic statements, Rabbi Yonatan taught that God is glad when the other nations of the world are satisfied and have an abundance of grain, for then and only then I will lie down in peace. Only when Esav, only when the other nations, not just the Jewish people, are not hungry, can I dwell in peace and tranquility. Feeding the hungry is more than just those in our communities, those in our families. God is calling us to take action to ensure that all nations of the world have access to food. Only then will God be at peace. Our ancestors, thousands of years ago, discovered a way to fight food insecurity with the tamchui. And since 1939, our country has helped through SNAP, ensuring those in the low-income brackets have access to food and water. Both the tamchui and SNAP are holy systems of sustenance. Stephanie Land, author and public speaker whose memoir Made became a hit Netflix miniseries, she wrote an article in Time magazine this past Thursday titled, "SNAP Benefits Are Running Out. The Cruelty is the Point." She shared her personal story of relying on SNAP while living in a homeless shelter in Washington State with her infant daughter. The government had kicked her and her daughter off of SNAP because she did not reach the 20 hours a week work requirement. It didn't matter that she was also a full-time student attending classes for 15 hours a week and a single mother. The government just sent her a notice that she would no longer be receiving those benefits. She was not working enough to deserve to eat. Now, while she and her family have been blessed to not need those benefits for the past decade, she is deeply, deeply concerned for the 42 million people in this country who don't know how they will afford food and water. These safety nets that have been put in place are anything but when they can simply be removed with a thoughtless, vague message. Her story puts a human face on what statistics cannot show, the fear that the floor will disappear beneath you. Maimonides, once again, he teaches us that the highest form of tzedakah, the highest form of righteousness, of charity, is helping others stand on their own. When these safety nets are no longer funded, we make it harder and harder for these individuals and these families to stand up on their own. In a Wired article also published this week by David Gilbert, he wrote about some of the disinformation that has been spreading online, on our social media pages, on the news about SNAP. AI videos, which are getting scarier and scarier by the day, fabricated charts, racist comments. When instead the facts are these: 90% of SNAP recipients are US born, only 1.1% are refugees, 3.3% are non-U.S. citizens. The majority of those SNAP benefits are white, living in Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. The Jewish Federation of Greater Houston sent out an email on Thursday with the following facts as well. 1 in 3 Holocaust survivors in the United States live in poverty and rely on federal nutrition programs. 1 in 3. In addition, 19% of Jewish households in the United States cannot make ends meet or are barely managing. Without SNAP, low-income families will be pushed into crisis. No Holocaust survivor should ever have to go hungry ever again. Programs like SNAP make it possible for people to remain independent, avoid costly emergency care, and maintain their health and stability. Jewish federations invest significantly in food security, but philanthropy alone cannot replace the scale of federal assistance. Now, we might think these funds can be used to buy anything that they want, and here are the facts as well. These funds cannot be used for tobacco, for alcohol, or non-food items, and beginning in April of next year, not even candy or sugary drinks can be purchased using food stamps. Now, how much does one need to make in order to rely on food stamps in this country? A family size of 1 needs to make a maximum amount of $2,152 a month to receive $298 in food stamps from the government. A family of 4, the maximum amount they can make in a month is $4,421 to receive $998 in food stamps. Now, let's do some math. If you are a full-time minimum wage worker making $7.25 an hour, and you are working 40 hours a week, full-time, pre-tax, you will be making $1,256 a month. Full-time minimum wage employees. Now, a family size of 1, the maximum amount they can make to receive food stamps is $2,152, nearly double the amount of a full-time minimum wage worker in this country. Meaning, every single person who works full-time and is making a minimum wage can and should be receiving food stamps. That is a huge, huge problem. These benefits, they don't reward idleness. They reveal the reality that we are living in our country right now. They are our modern tamchui. Now that benefits are halted, we face a famine of righteousness. What can we do to help those in our neighborhoods, our communities, our cities, our states, and our country who are worried about their next meal? Last month here at Beth Yeshurun, we collected over 2,500 pounds of food for competing in goodness. That was extraordinary. But compassion is not a competition. Just as our ancestor Abraham did not stand idly by when the famine hit, he took action. Just as our rabbis found a way to ensure that all had food to eat through the tamchui, we too are called to walk in the footsteps, to show compassion to all those who are hungry. On Passover, we famously open up our Seder by inviting all those who are hungry to come and eat. While Passover's not for a few months, you don't have to kosher your kitchens quite yet, we must not let that line simply be a statement that we recite, but one that is followed by action. Let's keep our tamchui open year-round, bring canned goods to our lobbies each week, each day, so that we can continue partnering with the Houston Food Bank, JFS, and Meals on Wheels. Together, we can ensure that no one has to experience famine, that no adult or child has to wonder where their next meal will come from. Feeding families is not partisan. It is not a political issue. It is profoundly Jewish. the Jewish Federation of Greater Houston has created a template that we can send to our members of Congress, urging them to find a way to come together and support those in need. I sent my email out on Thursday. No one should have to choose between paying rent, health care, or eating. Together, all of us can support those in our communities who are facing this crisis. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Mendelson. As you referred to, we're going to continue our food donation drive, and you can still donate food through Beth Yeshurun. We have areas in our outside near our doors or inside near our doors where you can bring food in. We're going to continue it now through the end of November. We can do our part to help those who are hungry at this time.